In this video, we're going to learn how to plot the points that you enter in StatEdit so you can actually see them on the graph of your calculator. Okay, so I have a problem here from one of the STAR tests in which they gave us an inequality and wanted to know which one of these points was part of the solution. So what they're asking is, when you graph this inequality and shade it, which one of these points is inside the shaded area? Now, sometimes they give it to you in a way you can look at it and go, yeah, I think I know where those would be, and I'm pretty sure I have the answer. But it's always good to be safe and to verify. So I went ahead and in my y equals key, I've put the equation that they gave us, and I set up my shading for greater than, because this is a greater than symbol. And when I press my graph button, it goes ahead and it shows me my graph. Now, I can look at these points and try and just say, okay, well, let's see. I think each point is, and try and find them just looking on the screen of my calculator. But the safest way to make sure that you've got everything in the exact spot is to go ahead and put these into the StatEdit of your calculator and ask the calculator to plot those points on your screen. So let's see how to do that. So I'm going to press my Stat key. The Stat key is right there below the Delete key. That's going to bring up the StatEdit screen, and I want to edit, meaning I want to put data points into my calculator. So in StatEdit, you're just focusing on L1 and L2. This is your X value and your Y value. So this is your table. And you're just focusing on putting your data points that they've given you. The X's go in the X values go in L1 and the Y values go in L2. So you can see here that I've just entered in each one of my ordered pairs, and I always double check -6 and +1 and make sure that I have them next to each other exactly as they've been given to me. So now that I'm sure I've got my data in correctly, I'm going to press graph. Great, isn't it? I pressed graph, I've put in my data into StatEdit, and I don't have anything. Where are my points? And so what I need to do, what that means is I haven't turned on the feature that says plot points in StatEdit. That's called my plot feature. So I'm going to go to the y equals key, and when I press y equals, I've taken out my equation, but when I press y equals, up here at the top, they should all be non-highlighted, saying plot 1, plot 2, and plot 3. Plot 1 is the only thing that we're working with in Algebra 1, and that's just going to be able to plot our X and Y data points. So to get this turned on, you're going to scroll using your arrow key, scroll up to it, and it'll be flashing. And then you're going to press your Enter key. When you press your Enter key, it's still going to look just like this. You can't tell you've done anything. But then when you use your arrow key to scroll back down, it'll stay highlighted and your cursor will be here. If you scroll back down and it's not highlighted, that means you either didn't hit enter or you hit enter too many times. So if you come back down here and you don't have plot 1 highlighted, scroll back up, press enter, and scroll back down again. When your screen looks like this, when plot 1 is highlighted, now when we go in and we press our graph button, we'll be able to see the data points. So when I press my graph, now all 4 of those points are put in there. But just like when I was looking at the shaded line, I can't tell exactly which one of these. My guess is it's going to be one of these two guys, but I can't tell for sure where my line is going. So I'm going to go back to my y equals, and leaving my plot on so that I can see my points, I'm going to put my shaded equation back in. And this time, when I press the graph key, it's going to show me my points and show me my shaded line. I'm going to get both. So now it's very easy and clear to see that this point is the only solution. Sometimes this kind of situation, they'll ask a question like, which is not the solution? And you won't even notice the word not. But when you put in all four and you graph it, you'll see, hey, everything's in here but one. And it'll trigger your brain to go, oh, wait a minute, reread the question. So a lot of times this can save you from missing those tricky wordings in the questions. So now we know that our answer is this point right here, which is negative 1, 6. So I can just go over here and say, all right, negative 1, 61, and that's the correct answer. When you start playing with turning on your plot and seeing what data points look like, there's a common error that happens all the time. And what happens is you've finished working in StatEdit, you've taken out all your data points, and you go in and you've put in a whole new equation, something totally different. You're working on something different, but you forgot to turn off your plot. If you ever put anything in and want to graph it while your plot is on and you get this error, all that's saying is you've put in and asked me to graph with my plot on, but there's nothing in StatEdit to plot. So if you ever get an error, just go back and check and see if your plot has accidentally been turned on. So you can use this plot thing for all sorts of data analysis. You can put in ordered pairs, press the plot on, and look and see if it made a linear equation. You can look and see if it looks more exponential or quadratic. So it gives you a lot of information about the data that just looking at the numbers won't give you.